Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to Series of Knowledge from Keshe Spirit Institute. We welcome you back. And those of you who are believers in the path of Christ, Happy New Year to you. And I hope it'll be a wonderful year. It will be a turbulent year this year. Our forecast is change in many dimensions. In a way, human race will go through a promised change this year. We'll see a lot of old things will break down, what we got used to. And a new version of the same thing will come up for a time, and we'll see fall of regimes. We see fall of regimes of economy and commerce. We'll see the end of man valuing what Earth possesses, and man will start valuing what the universe possesses. This will come, as I always said, this technology will not be accepted just because of its beauty, but because of the fear of annihilation of man, be it in the dimension of life, be it in the dimension of economy, be it in the dimension of what we build our lives around it. And we all looked in a different direction and dimension, and we always thought that this will happen, that happen. And as I always said, I sat in the background, watched a lot of things, moved the Keshe Foundation to Chinese corporations, and washed our hand with the West, knowing that the trigger point of the change will come from China. We most probably in the next few weeks will see collapse of economies. Many people, most probably some of you will lose all your livelihoods, and many of you will build a new future. It's set to change, but the change is not what we set to see. In around early times, in 2000, I was sitting in a house in the center of Kinshasa, and I sat with the Minister of Transport of the nation at his house with his wife and discussed what is the future. He explained to me something very interesting. And at that point, I said, everything has changed and the West is blind to what is to come. And 2026, more or less 25 years when my eyes open to what is happening in the West, most of us will open our eyes to see what is about to come. What we valued will bring us to crisis, and what crisis comes will bring us joy of the freedom and many, many other things. I traveled with the minister in his car. He said, we go to the ministry, I have something to do. Because the president of the nation at that time said, Keshe is too important to be in the public hotels, so he appointed the minister to look after me while I was in the country, and I always stayed in his house whenever I traveled to Kinshasa. He said to me, Mehran, something strange has happened. I said, what? He said, the reason was for it that we were driving down and there was a Chinese man standing and there were a lot of blacks working. I said, what's going on with this Chinese man? He said, oh, he's supervising. I said, what do you mean he's supervising? He said, American, the British, and the Canadian dug a big hole in this country and they dug all the copper out of the mine. And when they couldn't get it, wasn't worthwhile, they flooded it. It's a big lake. I said, yes. He said, the Chinese have come. They have promised us, and they have started, this is part of what you saw, emptying the lake. Many people have lost their livelihood because it's been there for years and everything else, but they said they're going to take copper out of this mine, which is absolutely drained by the Europeans. They are building 1,000 schools, 100 hospitals, 1,500 kilometers of road directly from the mine to the port. And they have agreed that for every Chinese man, there will be 4 Africans who will be taught what to do, how to build, and how to operate. We are here as supervisors. They pay us the current prices of the copper, and we take 50% of it as cash for the building of the nation, and 50% they do building roads, the houses, and everything else which was promised. Then they started it. And I said, they are going to control everything in rare earth materials, at that time copper. I watched this across Africa. As I traveled around Africa, Chinese repeated again and again. But a lot of Africans, Chinese who came to Africa, their workers and everything else, they saw prosperity and they stayed behind. They brought their children and their family. And mainly if you're Africa, you know what I'm talking about, started chicken farms, which was a big problem for the Africans, because most of the chicken farms is controlled by the Africans, by the Chinese, sorry. And now we see this year. As of today, not a single industry in the world which will not be touched, not a single one of us, which will not be touched by the material which China controls. As of today, there is no more silver in the market to sell. They want it for the industrial organization, and they will not export a single silver gram of it. Very clever. Many people thought they want to control. No. They control 70-80% of the metals, precious metals, zinc, copper, and everything else. Again, people thought they want to control. But what the West has not come to be aware of, we speak about companies like Tesla, Samsung, and the rest, they cannot operate without silver, is very simple. They don't say you go bankrupt. They don't say that you are finished. They say, like to Samsung, as we all of us know, you want to run your business, open a factory in China. We give you all the materials. There is no restriction. They are transferring officially all the industrial revolution into China. Tesla has no problem if builds everything in China and export from China. There is no shortage. Samsung can do all these telephones and communication systems as long as they produce in China. There is no limitation. For outside there is. But this brings another, what we call revolution, where people will react internationally as they lose their jobs. This will create a lot of jobs in China in 2026. But all this goes back to the principle of the Keshe Foundation technology, science, development, and the rest of it. The Americans, the British, the Iranians, the Chinese, all played with the matter state. And now that the harsh time will come, especially for the West, there is no better opportunity than the man to show the power of the energy of that matter. The evolution in the science in 2026 will come when the man accepts the trinity of the matter and energy. And nobody has served us better than the Chinese government, where they have spent billions controlling all the rare earth materials. They got stuck like the rest of humanity with the matter state, not understanding a monster amongst you knowledge seekers known as the energy of the matter will rise. This is why we brought the cash coin. This is why we set up, as you heard, the structure of the Universal Council. Starting from today, you will see the nations of the West will get around cash technology because they need the material. We showed it nowhere else publicly except, especially in China, May of this last year. Conversion of energy to mass. Confirmation and rejection of the wave theory, and bringing the knowledge of the man to existence, where the field of the universe create the matter, and where man got stuck with that matter and he forgot about the wave. And in conversion and creation, we use that wave to create more matter without relying on the other side. In a way, the theory of what we call the funny thing, which when one moves, the other side moves. Now the matter state is so heavily will burden on the Chinese nation that the West will move forward by leaps of hundreds of years in the next decade or so. As gradually they understand China is lumbered with one of the heaviest that's ever could imagine by man, where in the coming time you produce materials as you need, because we have shown it. Laboratory test 2 years ago shown it. And then it comes the medicine, the food, and agriculture, and everything else which made man in prison, locked to the matter state. Where we will see the changes, where the man of science will gather in understanding, worshipping every single one of your knowledge seekers, that you said something we didn't understand. This doesn't come out of what we call randomness. This comes out of organization, understanding. And in that point where the dollar is breaking down, yuan breaking down, the world will look for a stable currency that everybody can be without losing. And this is why the cash coin stuck its head out last week, and we brought it in as a game. Many of you bought those systems on an ends to be in control, create an independent operation of financial organization in the background that does not matter where you live, we're all the same. Fulfillment of the prophecies of the past. You will see it as is today. The Chinese will stop the silver. They stopped exporting of magnets a few weeks ago and controlling of the rare earth materials as is needed. I was talking to one of my beloved cousins yesterday. Extremely wealthy, lives in the United States, and I said to him, do you know what's the problem? He can't even defend the nation. Every intercontinental missile, every missile which is produced by the Americans needs minimum 15 kilos of silver. And you use it all in Ukraine, you use it all in Middle East, protecting the regime of Israel, and you show where you're going to get it next. 1,000 missiles is 15 tons of silver. It's not in the market. Will force the nations to look at their defense and spending money on defense which they can't afford anymore. It'll bring peace. It forces the condition of peace because I can use 1,000 missiles, but I'm going to build it again. The same as we've seen the collapse of economy in Iran in the past few days. You see people on the street, they call it a revolution. It's not a revolution. In the West, you get on the street, you shout, this is expensive, that cannot be done, and it's nothing. In Iran, they're connecting it to a revolution. Might come from it, but what is behind it? You see, markets are closed. There are no people on the street. They're all shopkeepers, factory owners on the street. Why? You sell your product at 10 o'clock in the morning at $10. You think you made a profit. You have to pay $15 in the afternoon to buy the same thing. By the time you sell it at night, $20, next morning you have to buy it at $25, which means you're always losing even though you're working. And this is what we call the fake economy, inflation. And this is why every point will come the same. Many of you will not be able to afford food. Governments cannot do anything with it because the Chinese stop sending magnets out. Your companies, your factories, your farmers can't get their engines going, and so we all run into one vicious circle. One governing governments controlling everything else, but you have to understand this governing government says it's peaceful, but people will not accept one nation policy, why one nation and the rest will follow. This opens a chance for every single nation to look for an alternative, opening of new technologies, feeding people through internet system, the way we have put systems out, and the rest of it. 2026 and thereon, next 15, 20, 30 years, we'll see the evolution of the changing, accepting energy, what we denied into our hands. I was talking to one of the richest men in North America past 48 hours. I explained very simple. I said, you hold the matter. I hold the energy of the matter. I put a magnet on the table, and from that magnet to you is just something holding, attaching to steel. From the fields of that magnet, I make gold. Man ignored the power of the fields. Man ignored the power of energy in transmission, in motion, and got stuck with the matter end. Then we understand how life changes. Then we understand what is about to happen. Then we understand all this trauma we've been through, all these games everybody played, is all to bring the whole humanity to one point. Change in opening the man's eye, enlightening man to the knowledge of the fields and not the matter. This was the promised message. Understanding, enlightenment to the power of the fields in motion and not the matter stuck on the ground on this planet. And if you think about it, this matter came from the fields of the sun, completing, in a way, confirming the wave theory in a different way, and in a way confirming something very interesting. Einstein said, when one moves, one atom, the other atom moves the same somewhere in the universe, and some people got Nobel Prizes in 2000 and something, 3 scientists for this reason. But ask yourself one question. If the wave theory is correct, if the quantum theory is correct, if what we consider as the speed of light to be correct and everything else, something very important mankind has ignored, and it's for you to understand. If one atom moves and another atom which is connected to it will move, ask yourself one question. The matter on this planet is from the fields of the sun. Where is the other atom which is in your brain connected to? To the center of the sun? To the center of the sun being the same field of interaction, connected to galaxy, connected to the soul of the Creator. Now you understand the whole breaking down of the one man accepted down to one point. Man has no choice but to be enlightened with the knowledge of creation and not to deny, not to ignore the truth about himself, his own creation, about its own dimension, that if you accepted wave theory, if you accepted the quantum theory, if you accepted Einstein theory of one thing moves the other side and the other one has to move, every cell in your body as it moves is connected to something inside the sun. That's where it came from. So, in a way, the sun, our sun, is the center of the soul connected to every single dimension of energy within our body. And once we are enlightened to this, once we understand the facts that something as a ray of the sun has become us, so we are all sun and we all can shine. As the fields from us leads to creation of another sun. I asked my father years ago. I remember sitting in front of him. He was explaining to me why I see the bone. I was a naughty child. I was one of the most hyperactive child I could ever see. No one, no maids, no housekeeper, no one in the house could handle this boy. Too active. Gardens and the walls and the kitchens and the bedrooms and everything else was not big enough to hold this fast boy. He sat me in front of him and I said to him, do you know something? I found something in your cupboard. He said, what have you found? I said, I found an X-ray. You're hiding. Whose is it? He said, why did you go into the back of the safe where I hide everything? I said, nothing in this house is done from me. I put the film in front of him. I said, this is so-and-so because his name is on the film. He said, he's dying of cancer. I said, I know, he's dying of cancer. I see it because I can read it. I said, why have you hidden it? He said, because I cannot even tell no one that he's dying. He is my co-CEO in the company and I cannot do anything for him. I said to my dad, you see this cancer is like a son. He has not realized it. It's the energy. We see it as a white. The same as we hold the X-ray in the sun, we see a white sheet, we don't see anything on it. When the man realizes that the cancer is another sun within it and tame it, he'll survive. He said, you'll find a solution. I said, look, it's the same as his bone. The same feature. So it cannot be very far. If man understands what I just explained, one day man has found the secret to life in the universe and not within the body of the man. There is a sun within all of us. And when the sun is too bright, when the sun is too powerful, it cannot shine in what we call the strength parallel with itself. It looks dark. Even the black holes in a given field of strength are like the sun. They shine. It's us who have not understood the science of creation and we call it black. But if in reality, as I wrote in the paper, the first paper I will publish, they are the source of life, there is a light coming from it. In the bandwidth of the eye of the man is black, and the bandwidth of the eye of the universe is brighter than the sun we see every day. It just needs to interact and shine. And this is exactly how man has got stuck in the black hole of the knowledge of the matter on this planet. I made man in the image of myself to shine and not to be as dark as his heart. One day mankind will move, and that move to understand the process of the interaction of the fields is of now. We will change in governments. We will see massive changes in the knowledge as the governments have thousands of factories and no goods, and then they need to feed these goods to be able to keep the factories going, paying the economies, and moving on. And there is no alternative left but man to understand, out of desperation, the other side of the science which man has denied, ignored, and always laughed at too. Those of you who call you crazy, you believe in cash, is a fraud and everything else, they will kiss your hand. They worship you as they understood before they did. As they see how the knowledge of the energy, magnetic field emotion, will change their life in the West, brings humbleness and equality to Chinese, and at the same time, arrogance of making metals to kill each other will be buried in the history of mankind. It's time for the knowledge of the creation and the name of blah 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 Keshe Foundation and any other name of Gans and whatever to shine. For your knowledge seekers, understand that your job has started. For those of you who are members of Universal Council, your line is drawn. Those of you who want to become members of Universal Council, look within your soul and see if you understand the need, the love of the man for the whole universe and not for one nation, one blood, and one direction. Those of you who become the Universal Council members will have your line connected to the soul of the Creator if you understood the explanation of the beginning. You don't need the sun, as you shine the same as it does in the heart of the Creator. One day you'll understand, and one day mankind will move on. And the change out of the desperation of the losing jobs and factories closing down will bring the governments of Germany, Japan, South Korea, and every other country to worship the knowledge of the energy in motion, what you call magnetic fields. The part we don't. As I said to the guy, being a scientist this week, I said, I give you a magnet. It's no difference than an atom in your body. No difference than the electron and the proton. They all create magnetic fields and in interaction with each other confirm their existence as a matter state in the condition that creates you and what you believe in. We will see the changes in a massive order in 2026. Is the year of the promise, beginning of the world peace, unification of the currencies and the banner of the cash coin, as every other one which man believed in according to the nation will collapse one by one. Then they all accept there is one and we all abide by it and we all accept it. It won't happen overnight, it takes time, it needs a lot of effort. And I have a few more years left in me to complete the world peace before I depart. But it's for you as knowledge seekers to understand. You're suffering. You're standing solid behind the Keshe Foundation to bring the knowledge of energy, magnetic field emotion has started. Be proud who you are and stand solid as those who ridiculed you or those who brought you as you are crazy. They find out always the most intelligence, those who have the wisdom are called crazy because it's the lack of knowledge of themselves that did not understand, and it brings shame onto them. As I said, be humble and do not rub their nose in it, but be proud that you understood. And be proud that you bring the change yourself to yourself and bring the new dimensions for man to exist. My message for 2026 to you knowledge seekers is the time to move has come. Not by the end of the year, from today. Every effort will be made by the Keshe Foundation that our knowledge become the support of the West in a very direct way for them to understand, because they have no other choice. The line is drawn by the Chinese, and in a way, they didn't fire a single bullet. They used the greed of the man to tame the man. But man soon has no choice but to be tamed by himself in accepting the twinity of the knowledge of the matter and energy. I wish you a wonderful year, but you have to understand a lot of harsh time left to come, as even the government accept this technology tomorrow. They need to set out to build the systems and machinery to be able to deliver. And they have to look within themselves how in the resources they have to build it. Or as I said in a meeting very recently, the past few days, we make the materials by our own machine, which makes the material to build the material. The beauty of it is, today they mine those mines in Kinshasa. And then they took it all the way to China to refine it. And then once they refined it, they found a way to mold it. And then became an industry where now you don't need to mine, you don't need to refine. As you saw in Beijing, you make the material, refine in your hand. No need to mining and no need to refining. And this is where the secret in the new knowledge sits. In a way, is the history of America and Africa. In 1990s, you lay down the cables right across the America, and those who lay the cables had to get their money back. They were too slow to become like Africa, which had the mobile phone in their hand and running around, better services than the Americans, because the Americans could not afford, because they could not get finances. They put the cables in, and they became third world nation. I was sitting in a car in 2013, 2014, with the most closest man to Pope in Africa. He's an ambassador. He is advisor to the president, and we just came from the office of the president. He pulled the window down. He said something. The African guy passed a bag of potatoes. He put his phone. The guy put the phone, and he went. I said, "What did you do?" He said, "I just paid for the potato." So we don't even know this in the West yet. Africa was already working on what the Chinese are working today. I said to him, "What's happening?" He said, "Mehran, I cannot tell you how backward the West is. We didn't spend on the cables. They're still trying to make money to pay for the cables. We are advancing in technology. And all we said, Africans are behind. What you still past few months and a couple of years trying to do in your supermarkets, I watched 10 years ago, 12 years ago, on the streets of African nation. Now we see how they cover our eyes not to see that they're behind in so many things. And this is the way that many of you will come to understand. Be proud in what you know and transfer the knowledge as a knowledge of energy, confirmation of many theories which man didn't understand, but at the end, when the fields become at the magnetic field, the signals of the environment, they manifest themselves as a matter. And if you understand this, you understand the secret of creation, manifestation. Otherwise, you'll be the field in the soup of the fields of the universe till somewhere you match the environment that you can be manifested. I'm made man in the image of myself. I travel the span of the universe as energy, and when I decide, I manifest myself in the dimension of the conformation of existence in the eye of the observer. I hope you have a wonderful year, and I hope you understand the message of this year. We are here to bring the change, and every structure for it is set to be. And the only thing we needed was the desperation of the governments to look for a escape route to bypass the shackles which they themselves, by their greed, gave to the Chinese, and in a way Chinese, by wisdom of the government, but ignoring the knowledge of the fields and energies, got trapped into. Many factories in China will go stand still in the coming months and years, as you'll produce the material which produces your system, and then use the same material to produce the machine which produced to converted the energies back into matter for you to do to exist. This be it food, this be it medicine, this be it hardware and the toys and the computers you think. In 2026, 2027, you see emergence of the new way of communication, what we call cosmic ray communication. Some of the systems, some of you know, is stuck in your customs because your customs do not even understand what's in their hand, and they're still trying to assess, what does this machine do? Those of you who receive it, it will become a baffle to them, and they let it go because they don't understand it, but it's the new way to transfer energy, food, medicine, and with it, the change in the dimension of humanity. We see in the next few years where your mobile phones become the source of your food, your mobile phones become the source of your energy, and in so many ways, you don't need an app. We can transfer the energy of Apple through the systems which the Keshe Foundation will put in the position of you through the cash coin, is that every nation, every person, as they like, they can access to anytime, food, medicine, anything else. As I said to the knowledge seeker in the past few days, I said, you don't need to. When you spoke to Germany, you made a time with Dr. Kern to be given certain time to be available, that you can use the headphones. Now it's over. Then we all do that. Then we all came in, and then we all sat in the machines and used our headphones in the sessions in past 2 years. Why do you think we stopped? Because our knowledge, our scientific knowledge, and our scientists understood that, as I said to the knowledge seeker this week, you go on the machine anytime you like. You don't need us. Before we had to control, now we control nothing. We just make everything available to the system through the cosmic ray, that you take what you need if your wish is there. If the demand of your body is to receive it, if your wish is to walk using this unit on your head, you walk. If you want to be fed, you'll be fed. There is no more restriction to make time, because you as knowledge seekers, you invested in us. You gave us all your support. You moved, how many of you, hundreds of you, traveled to Austria, sat, waited for hours to go into that system to see what happens. You supported us to confirm the technology step by step. And what you did, coming all the way from all over the world to be in that machine for 1 hour, you paid for it and we invested everything we could. Now makes it possible that you don't need that time. You choose the time to get. Using the new technology, and maybe next few years, using the quantum, what we call system of the fields, what we call cosmic rays, will bring a new dimension that no man will ever feel hungry, because we transmit energy and they feel the strength of the amino acid of the man, which will take what he needs. Living 1,000 years will not be abnormal. There will be a normality because everything continuously is fed. Mankind will be supported by humanity itself, by the knowledge of the fields, where it changes at the other end, becomes the matter and is connected to the source, like the cell of your body to the sun. Changes starting from today is the confirmation and completion of the promise of all the holy books man ever imagined. And it's done by you. We were just teachers, brought the knowledge, and for you to complete that knowledge, and man, through his greed, has created the opportunity for the knowledge of the creation to be accepted. No choice. But, as I said, if you kill someone, you're a murderer, but if you kill themselves, it's a suicide. And man has brought himself to that point through the greed of matter state. I wish you a wonderful new year. And I know this year, starting from today, will bring many changes that your children and not even yourself will recognize in the time to come. You thought you went through the evolution of computers and everything changed in past 100 years. The changes coming up in the coming decades would baffle you, that you witnessed the knowledge of the earth and matter converted knowledge of energy and creation of the Creator. The opening of the time for man to be part of that universal change. As I said, everybody looked where that guy 160 million kilometers came. The energy you needed for enlightenment has been passed on to every single one of you. And mankind will change. We'll see fakes of the war for those who believe in the matter state, and we'll see a rise of the new nations through understanding the field of the creation. And then man has to rewrite the books of knowledge as a two parallel. As I said before, when you open a book to read about zinc, on one side you read about this matter state's power, on the other side, on this energy side, you decide to make the alloys in the matter state or use this field to be fed without needing the matter to be alloyed. My love goes to all of you, unconditionally with the knowledge I've given you. And as a universal teacher, I have fulfilled my promise to my Creator. Have a wonderful 2026, but know that the change has come and you will see it, and that is primarily thanks to the Chinese government and the wisdom of bringing man to the point of the change by, in a way, out of greed, becoming greeded, and created a new condition of life for the rest of us, which bring back us all to the same point. As I said, mankind soon will have no choice but to accept the trinity of life, matter and energy, and respect both according to the time, the place, and the position, and what man needs from one or the other. He cannot make love to a field, but he can make love to a woman or a man as a partner, physicality needed. Love making in the fields is very difficult. One day you'll understand. Happy New Year to you, and I wish you a beautiful, fantastic 2026, which I know what will bring to many of you. And be proud that you were there to accept the knowledge of the energy, and those who stuck to the matter will worship you what you brought them. But out of their own lack of understanding, maturity, and enlightenment, they're stuck with what they believed in, what they've been told to believe in. We go for a break and we come back, and we'll change this. We end this session very quickly after the break, as it's a new year. Many of you are still most probably celebrating. Half of you are drunk, you don't know where you are, and the other half is still sober in bed, not knowing, my God, what did hit me with this cash this time. Rick, take us for a break, and hopefully we come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cash. All right. What I have lined up for the break is, well, first, let's go to Mr. Cash and take it from there. Hello, Mr. Cash. Are you ready to go?
Yes, thank you very much. This is very interesting, and thank you for playing it. This is the beginning, as I said. Last week you had the financial part, and this week, today, we announced what's going to happen with the scientific side. This game can be played in 48 languages at the moment. Those of you who joined straight away and you've been trying to join in past week, you showed us the problems. As I said, this next 3 months is sorting out the problems. We saw the first problems, and the master behind us worked very hard to sort out the problems. Some of you with Gmail can connect, and some of you with Gmail cannot connect, and a lot of other things, which has brought sleepless nights for sorting these out. And gradually, we'll see more problems. We'll see where the weaknesses are, and they'll be eradicated and they'll be solved. But by June, at least we solve majority of the problem. The whole idea of the cash coin is the beauty of its knowledge, what brings you. And the Cash Foundation website, all our websites this week will be updated after the holidays with the link to the peace and what we call enlightenment games, most probably the tapes you listen to, and how to register and the rest. And thank you very much for Ed. If you can make it more detailed where they need to register and the process there and how to play the game, it will be helpful. And as we need to go to a few thousand, that most of the problems can be solved. And then gradually by 21st of March, international launch of this system will be done. You will see this connects to a lot of other things that in the future, we through this game will be modified, added for other things like when you go enlightenment, learning languages, how to connect to get food through the systems and the rest of it. You get paid while you're playing, you're receiving food through the same game as you play. These are what will be done in the future most probably, and you'll be enlightened with everything else. One of the most important things for us is try to join as many as people to play this game, that we see the problems, we see what needs to be resolved, we see what needs to be added, and gradually we can put a team behind it that controls the whole structure. There is one point, is that we are looking for experts in cryptocurrency in Cash Foundation family. We are looking to recruit people who believe with us that they can be controllers and support of this program. We have a few, but we need many to be able to monitor. And we open channels very soon that you can register yourself, what your qualification is, what you can monitor. And to run this properly, will employ a number of people that full time will be their job to monitor the situation on the running of this game and the currency behind it. The whole purpose of this is even governments, as they pay the soldiers to play, have to accept the cash coin as a way to subsidize their lives. As I said, we have mined everything possible to support humanity for the next 100 years. The way it'll feed back to itself, the way it is there. Governments do not need national reserves of coins. Government are part of the reserve of the coins. I'll explain this in the coming time, as I've started explaining to officials and many, many people. We have to teach, we have to get people to understand the game of life has changed in the dimension of, in a way, nobody should die of hunger. In a way, nobody should die of, I cannot afford Medicare or medicine. We transfer these through the knowledge. We transfer this through understanding. We transfer the power of the energy where the matter needs it. And this is the beginning of the cycle. You had your Christmas present as a game. You open and you play with it. And this week you open the truth about what's going to happen in your life cycle, in your pockets, in the physical dimension, where life become, in a way, fun to play. As I always said, it's time to have fun being a human, being part of this society, and being able to live to enjoy. Please note, go to Keshe Foundation. If you're a student registering, there's an update on the registration side. Go there. Unfortunately, as you know, when we started the teaching some 10 years ago plus, we put a fee of $100, 100 euros per annual fee. Originally, if you remember, was 1,000. But due to huge increases in the cost and everything in past years, with your permission, we increased the tuition fee that it can at least cover for next 10 years, that we don't need to come back and increase it by this and that. So there's a increase justifying with all the costs which we have in the background. And when you register for a student, what we call fee, we have brought it in line with, as part of the sales than donation, because these donations of teaching was creating a lot of problem for us, but internally we solve it. And the coins as a donation will change to purchase of coin. You can actually purchase, if you want, cash coins from the Keshe Foundation or through our sales in a coming time, maybe in the next 3 or 6 months. So our donation system has changed. Our structure of the Keshe Foundation, as I said before, has changed. We have gone into a headquarter-based subsidiaries that we can control everything in a very different way. Keshe Foundation manufacturing will disappear as your main front face to new companies, but stays as the owner of the operation. So it becomes a headquarter base. These are because of the tax reasons we had to do this, by the orders and the things we had to face. Originally, Keshe Foundation Manufacturing was the mother owner of the European operation, and every subsidiary came through it. Now the mother stays away from any being touched, and subsidiaries become operational for their interactions, what they do, and the rest will be the same. We've done the same thing in China, the same thing, operations set up with Market Corporation, with the subsidiaries, and so it'll be the same. And as we become one in the coming time, the ownership of the Keshe manufacturing in Austria, Market Corporation shares, the Chinese corporation of Keshe Foundation will be handed over to the Keshe Foundation International, which means no one owns it except the humanity. No wealth will be passed on to no one, but it will be brought in line that it stays the ownership of the humanity, the way the Keshe Foundation was set up from day one. I had the pleasure of speaking with one of the co-founder of the guy who set up, originally supported the very first angel supporter of the Keshe Foundation a couple of days ago. We speak once or twice a year. It's an old friendship, over 25 years. And he said, Mr. Keshe, you achieved what we set up 25 years together. Two brothers set up the first pages of the Keshe Foundation 20 years ago. And we were talking and said, now you see what it's become. What we envisaged in the mandate of the Keshe Foundation now is becoming reality 20 years ago. And it's nice to see that how this thing has taken shape and how this coin, the operation of the Keshe Foundation, now has become a global operation in a very different way. Enjoy the game and don't play for the money of it. Enjoy it, that it brings enlightens you, and in the future a lot of knowledge will come through the system, through this game. Go to the Keshe Foundation. If anybody wants, we'll try to get this up this week, that they can tell them you don't need to look for the link. You go to the Keshe Foundation, it says Peace and Enlightenment game. They can click, they can listen to introduction, they can listen to the presentation how to play. I'm home. I hope Ed will do it in a very beautiful way, how to register and everything else, all the way down to how to play. Please do not teach them the cheats, even though sometimes it's fun to have.
That was actually a question that came up. Someone had asked, what if we communicate with each other to get the cheats and try to get through the game faster, quicker, get more points, and all that kind of thing?
If you play the game, the game has a time lapse and rest time.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot cheat that much, and if we find it, I'm sure we'll find a way around it. But at the end of the day, what you earn, you have to spend on the international community and the rest of the Keshe Foundation. You'll not become very wealthy, because I think €2 is a lock to it. You will find out you'll be locked out till the next month that you pay to play. It is very interesting how we see a lot of people do. It's beauty of it. It brings people to talk to each other and do this and learn how to be peaceful. Find the cheats, let us know, and then we'll find out to block you and not to cheat. But don't forget, the masters and the AIs will be put sooner or later to play this game.
Yes, I was wondering about that, and that's AI is probably the best cheater there is. So you're going to have to find the defenses against that in a way. Probably pit AI against AI.
In a way, 2002 coins is your limit, so you can wait till all the AIs of the world, if it's what we work for 2000, let them play. It costs more time and energy and finances to get them going. But we have secured ways, in a way. It's one thing very interesting, that there is no punishment if you cheat, but in a way you punish yourself, you others not to get. And we try to explain more and more of this in the time to come.
Yeah, that's why Ed showed the Pinocchio with the long nose here for if somebody's not being honest when they're playing.
It's there. It's got no game is safe.
That's right. Each game that's the first thing gamers try to do, is try to hack the game.
The best part of the game is the hacking part. They don't look at the other ones. I remember when the boys used to play, and they used to go to the youngest one, says what he knew how the cheats are and where you have to play, because he had more time to play than the others, so he used to teach them what are the cheats and what are the shortcuts. So it won't go by the age and who knows what best, and it goes by who tried it and what you see.
So I just want to mention that Ed does show in this video how to put in your email address and send that off in order to register and get set up with the game and the first beginnings and all. He goes through each step. So it's about a 21-minute video altogether.
Yeah, it's nice. Thank you very much, Ed. And we'll post or any other videos you do, send it to us, and then we add it to the system for enlightenment for people to understand. Please don't send us the cheats, but it's good to know. Or send us the cheats, we try to cover it. Any questions?
So I've sent you the links for both of those videos that Ed has put out, and I've also put those in the chats for folks as well.
Thank you very much. It'll be on the front of the Keshe Foundation website and all our website. And anywhere you know, give it to the people to play. We need more and more people to play. If you know what I call, you think past your age, if you have an Apple, just add that to it. Hopefully it'll come as an app. We'll see. I've asked people to look into it, how to make an app of it that you don't need to put a link on. And if you get an app connected to it, you just put it there and just play with it to learn. No age is too late to play the game. Just because you pass 70, 80 and you're short of money in the time to come, you need to ask your children, your neighbor, or beg from someone to give you. Sit at home, learn to play. No age is too late. And live a dignified life. This is what.
And young people can play too. I think kids probably 4 or 5 years old could figure it out once they got going with some of the basics. And it's very basic, but on the other hand, it can be quite sophisticated. It tempts you with different levels that could come in later as you get more advanced and so on.
Yeah, they learn. In a way, it's good because, Mom, I want something. I think there'll be certain parental control will come into this very soon as part of the development. But you don't need to beg to live, to educate yourself. This has an immense value on the African nations, on the third world nations, on the nations where people like to educate themselves, to go to university, but there's no money. Now they play the game, they pay for the university. And we set it up very soon in a way, when we give a cash coin to government to spend on the project, we watch it where it goes, because monitoring these coins is very easy. So nobody can take bribes, nobody can do a backhander, because we'll monitor it. We'll explain gradually, because this goes through, and we need a lot of financial support in any shape or form for next few months and couple of years. You can help us to be able to do this and to set this up the right way. We'll appreciate it, because it needs developers, it needs people who know to extend it, that it doesn't become a boring game, but at the same time it becomes enlightening in every other way. And so we'll see how it goes. We need huge, huge support too. We're just calculating to get this going. It needs over $1.5 million a year. Just expenses. People who run it. You can't bring anybody, you have to bring experts to sit on the top to monitor. And when you look at it, 1.5 million is nothing. It's just like you, Lodgy, just watching you, listening to this program now. Just to listen to this as you are doing, it costs Keshe Foundation around about 25,000-30,000 a month. All these web pages, all these websites, all these Zooms, everything else, people who operate it in the background, people who monitor it in the background, yes, it costs us as Keshe Foundation month in, month out for past 15 years. And now, about 25,000 a month. And you just come in on a Thursday morning, sit in a session and listen to something, learn something, or you make guesses, or you hear something. Zoom, you're on, cost thousands just to pay to keep it going. The webinar, everything else, all the websites, the webmasters, the operators in the background, all are paid for. If I don't pay the Zoom 1 month, you're not here. There is no session. And this game, to run it properly, needs 1.5 million plus a salary, expenses, people who support it. We are in different time zone, needs different people to be there all the time to monitor if somebody falls out, if the coin disappears or somebody tries to hack in. It needs people who support it, who understand it, gamers. It needs people who understand how to support the hacking and the rest of it. In a very near future, we pay ethical hackers to try to hack to see the problems. And I've supported the Keshe Foundation for millions and hundreds of thousands in past years. And the interesting enough is somebody asked me, you borrowed money, you asked for money to pay for the whatever, which now we are defrauded. I said, what you put in there is not even a fraction of the percentage what Keshe Foundation owns and spends and operates. We cannot give you anything back on that till the fraud case is confirmed, because the account is frozen until the fraud is completed. Then whoever lent us money when we ask for it, it will be returned to them once the court in Austria pushes the case through and we get the verdict and the accounts are open, and then we can pay through the account. You paid to Counterpunch Foundation, which is a legal entity and closed for the fraud. And we cannot pay from other side of the Keshe Foundation back to you because it cannot be done. It's a company which is not related to each other. It's a different operation, different country, and it has to be resolved through the courts, as is now in the hand of the authorities in Austria. But every day costs thousands to run this operation. We never ask you anything to running of the foundation. What we asked you was for a specific project, and we're still running. So you can understand what's this going. You're looking at about millions a year just for you to be free, not attached to anything, and no one can dictate to you to live a free life. We need a lot of support. Try to support us the best way you can support us at the moment by the ONN systems and then donate it. This is the best way for us to operate and receive donations. At this moment in time, your donation, where it goes, is set. We have restructured in 2026. You will see, I send the fee for education came back. Go back and find out the new way which is set up. And you make a donation, you buy ONN unit, because we have to get 10,000 of these in the market. You can even pay, I paid €20 or €100 for purchase of ONN, and maybe you pay some today and some tomorrow, and it can come. But this way we can officially give the systems to the African nations, to the African people, to governments, and control it. We need, they say, what's the connection between this and the game? It's a big difference. This 10,000 minimum is needed to keep the network. That's you came, you play on your system is a different way than this. We need to get this 10,000 right across the planet that no government can dictate. No one can dictate how humanity lives and how you spend your money, how you keep your saving and the rest of it. We need a lot of financial support to get this project to its final leg in this year and the next few years. Some of you help us generously, but nothing is wasted. Everything for its own reason is delivered, done. And there's one thing which I keep on telling you, knowledge seekers, due to what happened to us in the past, we keep silent. you only see a fraction, very small amount of what's happening in the Keshe Foundation, because we do everything through knowledge seekers. Knowledge seekers are running everything, but quietly in the background. Nobody knows, but 95% of what goes on around the foundation, we keep it only to those who need to know and are involved in it. And one day if you hear it, you understand, now we understand what happened. We need a lot of financial support in any shape or form, but try to support us through the channels of what I call correct way. Soon we announce a new procedure for donations, and that will change the position until we sort out our situation in what we call in Holland with ABN AMRO Bank and the fraud within the bank. You got to understand, once this court case settled, some of the major banks in Europe are set to pay huge penalties, not only to Keshe Foundation, but to European Central Bank, because they ran fraudulent accounts. Two of the banks actually run the accounts where the money from our account went into the same bank into another fraudulent account, which is criminal offense, and stands 500 million penalty by European Central Bank automatic. Now you understand the scale of the fraud, which was burdened us with, and I thank God happened, because it brought us in different way to do the things and we wanted to do, and where we are is exactly where we should have been. Any questions?
Well, first, Ed mentions in the chat here, Ed is the creator of the video with the Pinocchio character at the beginning. And he says, I chose the Pinocchio because in the story, his goal was to become a real boy. Our goal is to become a complete human being. So
that's nice. Thank you very much.
Let me see. We did have some.
But the problem is got a bigger nose than the Jewish person. It must be worse than them, a few of them put together.
I don't know if we want to get into that conversation. And only because you're half Jewish, you can get away with that. We had a question from Meta Dolgan, who asks, is carbon-14 a cosmic ray?
It is in its field, yes. We produce it heavily. We have developed the technology for producing carbon-14. And it's part of the structure of the work of the Keshe Foundation.
Is it part of the creation of matter from rays technology?
In a way, it's part of the universal work. It's not part of our work. We just understand how the universe works more and more. There's a lot of hidden knowledge in the game of the fields, and it takes me every few weeks or months to explain more in detail to knowledge because we use it for them to understand more and more. Everything in the creation is based on the work of the interaction of the fields. It's like some of you have received the cosmic ray balls and then write to me, oh, it changed color, it increased, now it's a full ball, now half of it is gone, it leaked out. Then it means you haven't understood what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a live entity. In there, it eats, it creates matter, it does everything else. It's just that your wall has more active life than the others because you keep it in the fields where there is an interaction. Chinese guys sent a ball back. Mine is half full. I said, better send it back. We haven't understood the knowledge. So carbon-14 is the cornerstone of the energies of the creator. But you have to understand how it's created. One day I explain in detail as part of the teaching. Any other question?
Let me see here. We have another question in YouTube. Let's find it here.
Everybody's asleep or still not sober enough.
Have to go back into my. Okay, there it is. From Ascension, in the May 2025 presentation of the creation of elements by the fields, Mr. Kesh said one of the spinning reactors was not GANs. Was it caustic? Was it GANs of GANs? Is GANs of GANs cosmic rays? Thanks.
No, it wasn't. It was especially said that way because you got to understand we have what we call clever Dextran Keshe Foundation, and especially some Chinese who are trying to say they understand more than the Keshe Foundation. So came in and said to in the presentation in China in Beijing that the these are all this reactors, this, and then we said no. The reactor, what we call reactor 4, was set up to confirm that he's talking a lot of nonsense. Reactor 4 was set up deliberately, specifically to show if you don't create a condition of the fields, there is no matter, and it showed. So the field has it. This is okay. I'll open something to you. Maybe it's a gift for New Year. In a coming time, we'll offer you vehicles, cars. We offer you, in a way, technology, a space technology, that you carried in the suitcase. A system like what you call normal briefcase, which we used to carry in 1980s, something that size, if you remember, where you can open it and place it on the table. You decide the size of the vehicle, and you can create your car at the spot. You can create your system on the spot. So this technology is part of our work, and maybe in 2026, 2027, latter part will be offered, where you missed a lot of things in that. Just 1 second, please. This is again what I explained in the first part of today's teaching. You look for the matter, we look for a different thing. You saw the material landing on the table. We saw gold falling on the mountains in North China. We observed where the machine, the machine was inside, gold was bulking up on the balcony outside behind the window. But you have to understand something very simple, and that is, if I change the field, this material will not land on the table, will be hovering, as you call it, levitating, and then I can dictate the strength of it, and then it'll manifest itself as a vehicle, a UFO. And this is what will be offered. We'll change the automotive industry. There's no auto, it will plasma motive, whatever you call it, very soon, because you don't need the engine. I was without knowledge, underline, he knows what I'm talking about, because we were with a very powerful company past few days, specialized in drone, very, what do you call it, part of the national defense of a nation. And I said, your drones are obsolete. Sitting there, I can't remember, 8, 10 people, maybe more or less, after a specialist all in the meeting. I said to them, your drones are obsolete. You have all these propellers, forget about it. You have all this lifting and weight limit, forget about it. Very interesting. Sorry about that. I had to read a message from one of the officials from one government. He has sent me a birthday present. That's amazing. But what is interesting for us is that if we change the dimension of the field, the material will suspend and create a wall. It's in pattern. It's not something I just tell you. If we would have changed, let's say, what's what wasn't in there. If I would have put a specific combination in that fourth reactor, you would have seen a UFO in the exhibitions of May in Beijing. That's all it took. That's all it takes. And this technology is open to everyone. It's just that you have to see the knowledge to understand the knowledge. As I said to drone guys, forget about your drones, what you're planning today. Battery life doesn't exist. The life of the battery is the life of the universe. All these propellers, payload doesn't exist. And this is not years away, months away. So what was the reactor doing? That reactor was loaded to show that nothing is created. And you saw it. If you look at the pattern of the distribution of the material, there is nothing in that area. And it's also because, as I said, one of knowledge seekers, Chinese knowledge seekers, trying to be very clever, said, oh, this is this, and we just answered him, just check. Shall we call it a day? It's nearly 2 hours. And we come together next week, and hopefully we'll learn more about everything else. Have a wonderful new year, and I gave you a vision of what to come in next year, decade, and maybe in the centuries, to you, to your family, to your loved one, even maybe your soul. Thank you very much, Rick, and for all the support we received from you and everybody else in past years. But please don't forget, we need huge support to get this through. We're in the final legs of it. And we don't have to give you items to buy to support us. We put everything we have behind it. It needs to go in this final leg and to be done. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful new year.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you very much for taking time out on this first day of 2026. Sounds like it will be an auspicious year with lots of changes, as you mentioned. Okay, thank you everyone for attending today's 623rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 1st. And you see our next public teaching will be in, just check my calendar, be on the 6th of January, Tuesday, January 6th, with the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, with members and support members of the Universal Council. That program will start at the 4 p.m. Central European Time, again on Tuesday the 6th. And let me mention our show before we go here. I have a message from the Universal Council, and I'd like to share that before we break up here, which is, we, the Universal Council, invite the Kesh and Universal family present at the Earth to unifying at the soul level every time, every day at 9 p.m. Central European Time, to give from our field strengths to enlighten the souls of world leaders, to negotiate and sign the World Peace Treaty, pledging their nations to a permanent and everlasting peace on this planet. Okay, thank you, Lissy, for that. And I believe that's it. Today's background image is from the game, the game of peace and enlightenment. And we did put the links to that in the YouTube chat and our Zoom so that you can sign up and play the game. It's a lot of fun, and it may lead to much more than just fun as well. All right, take care, everyone, and we'll go out with our usual flight enhancement spaceship unit. And bye for now. See you next time around.
No i fajnie. Ja też bym chciał wszystkim podziękować za dzisiaj i tłumaczom przede wszystkim za ich wspaniałą pracę. Dziękuję wszystkim i do zobaczenia na przestrzeni. Pa.
Dzieją. Więc do czego zmierzam?